The only question I kept on asking, I said, how do your retirement look like? And it was like, what you mean retirement? We die behind a chair. I'm just a humble guy from a very poor town. It was either going to jail or go to the military. I chose the military. I lost a good friend of mine when I was deployed. I knew that he's not coming home, so I built the Bands Brothers Investment Group. It was rough. In fact, my first business, I lost $500,000.
Because they want to know what's so different about Treazure Studios. It's called Treazure University, where not only are they getting a salon suite, but you're connecting them to all these resources.
This is a path for success for your personal, for your life. We don't want to leave our kids here with debt.
What does the name Treazure represent to you?
Treasure, that's my daughter, my first daughter born. I was thinking, what name can I name this business? So we came with Treasure, we turned the S to a Z. I'm just looking for that person that remind me of that hustle. We don't care about S&P 500. S&P and me, go do it yourself. You don't have to die behind a chair, you just need mentorship. Help is on the way, right here in Treazure Studios.
As easy as that?
That easy, we ready to go, let's go.
First of all, how you doing?
Great.
You feeling okay?
I'm feeling amazing.
Just got in from Hawaii.
Yes.
So I want to start off with this. For folks who are just now hearing your name, who is Dearonne Bethea beyond the titles and beyond the success?
Dearonne Bethea, family man, 4 beautiful daughters, 1 son, born and raised in Enfield, North Carolina, one of the poorest towns in the state of North Carolina. Joined the military, retired, and just built businesses, but for the most part, I'm just a humble guy from a very poor town.
I was about to say, what do you think being born in Enfield? We've talked about this many times over, but what do you think being born and raised in Enfield, how has that impacted the way you move and do business?
When you come from places like that, you have those what we call limited resources, and when you have limited resources and you don't have those resources everybody else have. So when you start to get in business and build businesses, you're a little bit more conservative. So playing it safe. So I think that's been one of the best things ever to happen to me. Coming from a place like that, being very humble, being grounded, understanding how you never had anything, and then you know what it feels not to have something, but you want to also keep what you built. So that's staying grounded and being humble.
Yeah, limited resources, under-resourced communities, 100%. Decorated military veteran, entrepreneur, coach. What was life like for you before all of that, and what was the hustle before the blueprint? Wow.
All right. So before the military, I was out there. I was in the street. Got in trouble. When you don't have those resources, you're going to find yourself around the wrong people. And I got a second chance. I got a second chance at life. And once I got that second chance, it was either going to jail, right, or go to the military. I chose the military, did my 12 months probation. I joined. I got a mentor. That's when my life changed. Had an amazing career in the military. Promoted 11 times. Been able to retire, but I also been able to get in business and invest at a very young age in the military. And that's how success, for me, that's how it started. It started at a very young age. And I understand, I know most people not gonna start investing at 20 years old, not gonna have mentors, even thinking about getting a mentor at that younger age. I was just, in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, I was about to say, a lot of people don't think about getting a mentor at that age. So to hear you say that you had one from 20 on up, right? A lot of folks, I feel like they'll take something from that. You said once before you were trapped in survival mode, right? For a really long time, working hard but not getting anywhere. Right. What would you say was the turning point? I know you got in trouble at one point and you was like, okay, we got to figure this out. Right. But what else was the turning point in your life that really made you be like, okay, we on to something?
So first I was deployed. When I was deployed to Iraq, most people in the military, what they do, they'll do 20 years and then they go out and get a GS of a government job or whatever the case may be. That's kind of like the path or someone that's in the government service. What really changed for me, I lost a good friend of mine when I was deployed. I knew that, he's not coming home. He's not coming home to his kids, he's not coming home to their family. So I wanted to change something different. So I built the Bands Brothers Investment Group. And that was the turning point that I wanted to build. It was rough. I didn't have, I had a mentor that taught me how to invest in 401ks, IRAs, but I didn't have a mentor how to create businesses, how to grow and scale business. In fact, my first business, I lost $500,000 right here in DFW. And that was the first business, first franchise I purchased. And that was hard. That was a lot of learning that I have to, that I didn't know. And I could have easily, kind of like, closed the door and went in the room and said, you know what, I'm just gonna stay in there. I'm in 40 years, I'm tapped out.
Yeah.
But what I did was, I went to the drawing board and be like, nah, I'm not gonna give up. And what I did was I created systems, processes, KPIs. I went back and documented everything that I did wrong, and I doubled down on myself. And I, losing about $10,000 a month, I doubled down and opened up another franchise. And all those lessons learned, we was able to take those lessons learned and implement into our new business, and we did really well.
You often hear people talk about losses, right? And so I would say, like, you took the L's, but you took the L's as lessons learned as opposed 100%. To a loss. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck at, right? They'll have all those losses, but they don't know how to take them as a lesson. And also, like you said, to double down and do something better, right? To increase what you're doing. So I do want to transition with that, because you took some of your first major losses right here in DFW, only to find your way back to DFW many, many years later. So we got to talk about Treazure Studios. It's in the Farmers Branch area, still in the DFW community. What inspired this business? Was there a moment, a conversation, or even a frustration that really lit the fire for Treazure?
Yes, no, two things. I answered the first part, why Treazure. I invest a lot in real estate. When I retired, I was at a point where I was in a good space where I didn't probably have to work ever again. But I knew I loved real estate. I knew I loved helping people, and I would look for something that kind of go hand in hand with real estate. And what more often, Treazure Studios or salon suite models, there's a lot of them out there. And I said, that's something that I may like, because you get the chance to mentor. So what I did was I went out, I started in Tennessee, and I went all the way down Tennessee, Dallas, Austin, all the way down over to Houston. And I was able to meet all these owners, all these salon owners. They gave me opportunity to talk to their stylists, talk to their, their lifestyle professionals. And I could ask any question. And the only question I kept on asking, I said, how do your retirement look like? And it was like, retirement? What you mean retirement? We don't have no retirement. We die behind a chair. I'm like, what? No, there's no way, right? I was with my daughters, Amaya, she was 21 at the time. And so I drove down, came down to Dallas, and, I'm going around, and I heard the same thing. Like, the second time I heard it, went to Austin, I heard it.
What was it again?
Hey, we don't have a retirement. We die behind a chair. And I thought that, I was like, that's no way no one should live. And I felt that, right? Just like, you hear that from those limited communities, those communities that we're from, when you're talking about household income, $20,000, $30,000 in these communities, there's no retirement, there's no savings. So right there, I was able to make that connection. And the fire came when I started looking and researching other salon suite models that was out there. And I was a franchise guy. So I said, let me go out and let me find a franchise. And I found this one company. I'm not going to say them name, but I found this company, right? And they approved me to open up the Hawaii location. And they also approved me to open up the other half of Austin. Yeah. And they took my team, which, I got a great team. And we blocked off our time, our energy to make these calls, what they call discovery calls, Monday through Friday. Just at the end of Friday, everybody's clapping. Oh, D, we're glad to have your team on. Monday, I said, I haven't got the paperwork yet, to send the wire the money on to purchase the territories. And they'll say, hey, the CEO decided to take a different approach. I was like so shocked. I'm like, what do you mean? He's going to take a different direction. And the guy said, D, I'm going to be honest with you. He think he just got too much going on. I was like, what you mean he got too much going on? He just told me that, he built this business. He was in this business, that business. What you mean? I didn't understand it. And then at that point, I called my good friend, Kelvin Davis, and Kelvin he's the number one. He owns more salon studios out there. He said, D, I told you, go do it yourself. He said, S&P, he said, we don't care about S&P 500, S&P and me, go do it yourself. And so that's what we did.
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
That's what we're doing, we here.
So I got to backtrack just a little bit, because you talked about obviously losing a whole lot of money when you first started getting into business, open up your first franchise. So that's one thing. And then you talk about how you were in talks with this one company and they were like, oh, it's going to be great. We love you. We want to make this happen. Only in the end for that to fall through as well. When you think about stylists, or we're going to call them lifestyle professionals, right? When you think about them, Some of them are just like, look, I'm just trying to make it day to day. I'm just trying to get through the week. I'm just trying to get through the month. So I think when we're talking to them and you're building this model, what are you going to do specifically to help them get to a point where, okay, if you ask me about retirement, I'm like, oh yeah, I got this ready and this ready, and talk to them because they want to know what's so different about Treazure Studios.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, I'm taking everything that I have learned over the past 20 plus years, and I'm looking at pain points, and I want to make it easier so that people that like us, people that come from those limited resources where that it's not being taught in the house. Like, we don't talk about finances at the dinner table like we should, right? So what we're doing is, I believe that you got to have a liaison. We call them lifestyle professionals, consultants. And that liaison is the bridge between these strategic partnerships where that we are helping them what we call the 3-phase process. And when they say we die behind a chair, we call it the beyond the chair phase or path to growth, right? Beyond the chair. And what we're doing is we are connecting them with these strategic partnerships where we're going to help with EIN, operating agreements, retirements, kids college, first-time home buying, tax strategies, life insurance, disability insurance, those things that it sounds very small, but if you do those right in a business, you will set yourself up so far ahead of everyone, right? They don't know what to write off or, so they say, you know what, I'm gonna get this cash and I don't want the IRS to see it. Pay me Venmo, pay me Cash App. They're like, no, it's a valid path. Because I got so many businesses and I understand how to run losses and things like that. So we want to just give them and teach them and give them a chance, a fair playing ground, just like, the white collar Americans out here that's in businesses and things like that too as well. Yeah.
I think too, even to break it down even further, look, some people don't have an EIN set up. They don't have their LLC set up. They don't have an operating agreement. In fact, some of them probably have not heard of the operating agreement when it comes to their businesses. So again, that may sound like small knowledge to you, but that's information that a lot of people don't know, right? And so I think that's certainly something that as you continue to grow the business, especially talking about, it's called Treazure University. I don't know if we stated that, but it's called Treazure University, where not only are they getting a salon suite, but you're connecting them to all these resources as part of them being in this concept. So talk about how big that is, because that's the additional offer that people need to understand when they.
So if a stylist or a lifestyle professional, they come on, we do a orientation within their first 3 days. We want them to do all the things they like doing. They like, ribbon cutting and, all those setting up the pavement. We want to make sure all that stuff is done, and we want to support them. All right, okay, we check that box. But then we say, all right, the next 30 days, this is what we really got to focus on. We want to look at your operating agreement. We want to look at your EIN. We want to make sure you got the right insurance, disability insurance. We want to make sure you have all those things in place. And then we're going to have that lifestyle professional consultant to be the checker, hold them accountable, to make sure they get the opportunity. And then they go to the next phase in the university. And the next phase will be, okay, now we're just looking at investments. Let's talk about, what does your 401k? Do you have a 401k? Do you have a solo? Did you have one for another job? Do we need to roll it over? Do we need to get you into other alternative? Which, we just want to make sure we hit all those things. So what we are doing is we're breaking it out in 3 phases. The first 30 days, then you have 90 days, and then we have 180 days. And within those phases, there's financial literacy. There's things that if they implement in their business. And what I did was I focused on 2 paths. And I'm like in my head, like thinking like, if D was a barber, how would I help D based off the knowledge that I know now? And I said, this right here is a path. Everything here is a path for success for business. But if you do this side over here, this is a path for success for your personal, for your life, so for your kids, because you deserve it. Your kids deserve it, and your family deserve it. We don't want to leave our kids here with debt, working, every day, 8 hours, 10 hours days. Yeah.
What does the name Treazure represent to you?
Treasure. Treasure, that's my daughter, my first daughter born. We didn't know what was going to name her. And it was, I woke up, God always come to me and talk to me. He said he always on time. And, and I woke up the day that she was born, and I said, Treasure Trinity. So, I was thinking, what name can I name this business? And again, it started hearing treasure. So we came with treasure and we turned the S to a Z.
Okay. Yeah. When you hear stylists, and I'm going back to that narrative of die behind the chair. Yes. Okay. When you hear stylists say that, what would you say to the massage therapist, to the lash tech? They're brilliant at what they do, right, but feel stuck, underpaid, and they tired. Right. What would you say to them?
Help is on the way. Right here, we ready to go. Right here in Treazure Studios.
As easy as that?
That easy. We ready to go. Let's go. Let's work. We here to support you. No gimmicks, none of that. We just want to pay it forward. This is my way of giving back here.
Help is on the way. I love it. Most people think entrepreneurship just means being your own boss, but you focus on ownership and education. Yes. What else within Treazure University, I should say, that we haven't mentioned that folks should know about?
At the end of the day, it's all about, the business side. It's all about the creating this wealth, but how to also pass it to the next generation. A lot of people get up here and they talk about, hey, making money, make this, but nobody really talk about how should you pass that down. What does that really look like? So that's some of the things that we're going to do, and we'll be having these bi-weekly or monthly calls with these strategic partnerships, people that we're working with, so that they can be doing hair, they can be doing, Botox or whatever they want to do, and they can have their earplugs in and listening in. Absolutely. And as we continue to educate, it's an education. It's an education that we're going to have to put in place. We got to, make sure we have a valid rhythm. And it's just not us pushing. They got to want it. They got to be able to receive it, because, sometimes we can talk about all this, but they got to want change. And I think a lot of people that's here, that's watching this, or that we're talking about, is really going to be focusing on, like, this right here is something that, I resonate with, and I want to be a part of that. And if they want to be a part of that, they come here, and we're going to help them with that.
You talk about building multiple streams of income, right? And generational wealth. How are you turning that into real action for the folks that are in your community, that will be in this community? Yeah,
so multiple streams, and first, helping them with the business. Yeah. If they go through the process and get help with the business, take action, what we're doing, it's going to come. Because what's going to happen is going to be a mindset shift. Yeah. And that's all we know, right? Once the mind shift, when that mind shift is going to unlock other things. Then it's going to know, good, hey, what about, maybe I can get a rental property, or maybe it's going to open up other streams of income that they probably haven't even thought about, or they driving on, going up and down, 35 or I-20, and they looking at these buildings like, man, whoever owned that, I wish I can own something like that. And, for me, I own apartment buildings all over, and a lot of people think that there's one person owning this apartment building. Right. They don't understand there's other ways that you can get in there and own real estate, and those are some of those different asset classes that we want them to be a part of. Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about being in it for the long game. You don't just want to rent out suites. You want to build a culture within here, right? You just talked about mindset shift and how to have a mindset shift. What's the vibe that you're trying to create inside Treazure?
I want to create something that's just wow. Like, you come in, and I want to walk in here and hear people talking about retirements and business, and I did this strategy because I learned this because I was listening in. Oh, girl, hey, you missed the call. I want to hear that. I'm not building something, and this Treazure Studios is not for you to come here. And I'm probably not going to be the guy to tell you how to do color or do nails. I think there's so much stuff out there online for that.
We want that advice from you.
Right. Yeah. I want to know how to do it, but I will be able to help you, and help your family, put y'all in a better position for sure.
Who is your dream client? Not just by profession, but your dream tenant. Like, who would that person be by mindset?
Someone who reminds me of me. That's who I. That's who we invest in. That's who we, people that resonate with that boy from Enfield, North Carolina, household income at the time, $18,000, $20,000, they got their in them. Like, I was talking to someone yesterday, and it was like, hey, D, you got to meet this person. And, who he sound like, D? Who he sound like? He sound like me, So I'm always looking for that person, male, female, doesn't matter, white, brown, green, it doesn't matter. I'm just looking for that person that remind me of that hustle. Because, I help so many people, but I always look for that one person that I'm saying, yo, that's me. They're gonna get it. They're gonna own their own studio because I'm not building something that I want to keep you here.
Right.
I'm building something so that you can get out and do your thing and go pay it
So
forward.
that's a perfect tie-in to my next question. Okay. So what does the first year of Treazure Studios look like? Somebody here for a year and then 5 years, right?
Yep. So we want them to grow. So the lifestyle professional consultant should be meeting with them on a quarterly basis, figuring out like what are their goals, where they need help at, right? For a perfect example, this morning, Miss Tammy, I was sat down with her. Miss Tammy said, "D, I don't know you want to hear this, but I got big plans. My plans is to leave here in 5 years." I was like, I think she was looking for it. And I was like, "Why?" I was like, "Yo, phenomenal. What you want to do?" She said, "I want to do commercial real estate."
Oh.
I'm like, "Commercial real estate, huh?
Right.
Do you know I do that? I can help you with that." And immediately, I knew how to shift to be able to help her with her goals.
Yeah.
So someone coming here, we want them to continue to move forward. Maybe they only own their own studios, go out and do their own thing, their own franchise. But it should never want to come here or be anywhere stagnant. Yeah. Anybody work for us or be a part of our team, they know that I don't believe in putting ceiling. I never believe on putting ceiling how much money people make, how far they can go. I'm all about helping. Right, that's what we want.
And Miss Tammy, for folks who will just be hearing this for the first time, will forever be an OG, and not with age or anything, but just she's the first person to sign a lease at Treazure Studios. So forever that girl.
Yes,
You've done the military, real estate, education, business. What ties all this together?
Good question. What ties everything together is, I think just once you look at everything, I think it's go back to paying it forward, giving back. I think that's the piece that ties everything, because God put me in these different arenas. Like I didn't take one path. I did so many different paths. I see everything at a big picture, and it's just He's using me in order to help others. And once you know your calling, that's it. And I always been like that. So this right here is a calling, and this is what I call in business can be hard, and people come asking me, like, "No, man, this is my fun project. Yeah. This is a project I'm having fun with, because we're building something that's gonna impact more people, and that's how you got to be able to get there. Everything else will work itself out."
You talked about something that is a perfect tie-in. When you think about legacy, right? You're building something else that impacts others, not just money, but real impact. What are you trying to leave behind?
I just want the world a better place. I just want somebody to be the next D. I'm still looking for that person. And I have helped thousands, if not tens of thousands of people. I've been doing this for 20 plus years, been investing 20 plus, been teaching this, in my early 20s. And I want to leave back something better, someone better than me, someone that's going to do way better, think bigger than me, smarter. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Finally, if somebody listens to this podcast and remembers just one thing about Dearonne Bethea and Treazure Studios, what do you hope they remember?
Someone listening to this is that, if they're listening, especially if they're a lifestyle professional, I want them to know that there's something that's out here that don't care about money, really care about their well-being and where they're going to be at in the future. And we want them to be a part of what we got going on, the growth. And we just want to create a great culture so that it's contagious and in a good way. We want that to spread like wildfire. We want people to know that, we're doing something. We hear you. We understand that, you got all these pain points, and we want to help you out with that. Yeah.
Describe real quick, I didn't ask you this earlier, describe Treazure Studios when folks walk in, from the moment they walk in to what they see, what you want it to feel like when they're walking in, going to their stylist or what have you, lifestyle professional. Describe all that for me.
I want it to feel inviting, wow factor, because we just didn't build in a studio. We built we high-end studios, and we just want people to feel like, you know what, this is not here, this is here. I feel like this is another touch, another higher level. When in real estate we call it Class A real estate, and we're building something that's A plus. I want them to feel like, hey, this is You know, we run with the best.
So would this be the Class A building of studios?
I think it'll get better. I think it will continue to get better. I never always look for improvement every project, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm just always looking for the next thing, especially things with AI and things like that. We'll be looking at how we want to get left behind, right? We want to be always innovative. How can we implement AI into our program? How can we implement AI within the studio? And, you know, I'm always traveling. I'm always looking for things that that can add benefits for these lifestyle professionals.
I've always told folks, if you ain't using AI gonna figure out how to use you. So you better figure it out. Love it. If you could only give one piece of advice to a first-time entrepreneur, it would be?
Get a mentor, ASAP. Skip school, get a mentor.
Skip school, is that what you said?
School is expensive. School is expensive. Get a mentor, get a couple mentors, take risks, be uncomfortable. As soon as you feel uncomfortable, as soon as you feel comfortable, figure out a way to get uncomfortable. That's success. That's what I did.
Character is built in uncomfortability. I did want to ask you, though, for folks who do want to go to school, because D, you got to know it's a whole lot of different people.
I'm paying for it. I got kids in school, yeah.
Okay.
We checking the box.
But how can we be strategic about that, though, right? If you're in school, are we working? Are we trying to build? I know a lot of kids that go talk about that a little bit.
No, you're exactly right. No, I'm going to clear the air up. You know, I think you still got to go to school to check that box, all right? Because a lot of employers, that's what they look for. So we're going to check that box. However, though, we checking that box knowing that we're going to be an entrepreneur, knowing that we're going to be working another 8 hours, get out of school and work 8 hours on my future. And then when you're going to get out, you're going to go to college, you're going to get this corporate job, which is cool. That's going to pay your bills, but you're going to be over here focusing and building your business. And I always tell people, you never give up your day job until you got enough income that's coming in that's going to separate what you're making here so you can focus. So you're looking at, you know, easily I work 18, 20-hour days for many, many years. And I'm not working that was long hours, but I did because I had to pay, I had 5 kids, I had to, you know, be able to provide, you know what I'm saying, and serve this country at the same time. So now that I'm out the military and looking back, that's my advice. You know, work hard, you know, work long hours. If you're working 8 hours, come in and work another 8 hours and get 8 hours of sleep. There go your 24.
Anything that we miss? Can anybody think of anything that we missed? Okay, that's a wrap. D, you got to tell them that's a wrap, okay? That's a wrap. That's a wrap.
It's over. Thank you. Thank y'all.